Okay, let's talk about something that's rather timely right now. In light of recent reports, such as those in the New York Times of a few days ago, regarding major financial institutions stepping back from their climate commitments, what impact do you see this having on the climate solutions landscape, and how might this influence Prime's strategy in channeling philanthropic and impact investments towards climate change innovation? And for those who are maybe not following this that closely, I did an editor's letter this week on the subject, and there's a link to that piece, as well as, and in that, a link to the New York Times reporting on it. But it's very timely, very troubling, not terribly surprising in some ways, but love to hear your thoughts.
I don't know if you can see on the shelf behind me, I have a cross stitch that one of my grandmothers made. It's the Serenity Prayer. God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change.
Yes.
Courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. I think this prompt question falls into that category a bit, but is also very salient to kind of the point in time nature of assessing additionality. So because the actions of what I think of as finance first commercial investors are in constant flux up and down across many, many different types of asset owners and intermediaries. And your question is exactly the reason why, as a field of savvy catalytic capital investors, we absolutely need an intermediary that is purpose-built to assess additionality in that moment. Additionality is a point-in-time assessment. So in the same way that we're seeing major financial institutions lean forward and now back around climate commitments, we've seen traditional venture capital lean back and then forward and then back again during the 10 years that Prime has been operating. When we were founded in 2014, Thomson Reuters used to run a clean tech flag, and they reported $0 of initial investment into anything that they flagged as clean tech in Q2, Q3, and Q4 of 2015. And that was right around the time that Prime was really getting started. And so our assessment of additionality started out very binary. Like, do we think this company will be funded or not? And at that time, because the initial investment numbers were near zero, the answer was almost always not. So then it was a prioritization exercise of what's the highest and best use of catalytic capital. But then we saw climate tech kind of return as a venture capital theme coming out of the pandemic, and then again retract over the last 18 months. So I kind of view catalytic capital as like the sand that fills in around these larger beads, doing more to fill up the cup when needed, and being surgical about where to go when commercial investors are leaning in. And so Prime does the heavy lifting on substantiating additionality to crowd in others, whether it's a time when commercial investors are leaning in or out. In our venture capital practice, we have this really interesting advisory committee. It's called the Investment Advisory Committee, and it's 25 of the most active finance first venture capital firms. And they volunteer with us. It's been one of the most joyful parts of building Prime, is just seeing the time and energy that this group of people gives to us as a nonprofit. And they come together quarterly. They look at the short list of companies that we've zeroed in on in our investment pipeline, and they say, yes, I would be interested to support this company if it makes it to a certain milestone, but here are the reasons that I might be challenged to support this company right now. And that both helps us with the bridge to somewhere diligence and helps us substantiate the additionality argument as kind of one input into our additionality practice. Then it's up to us to decide if the reasons that traditional venture capital cannot support this company are surmountable with our level of support or not. But the investment advisory committee concept as an input to a point in time assessment about a specific company has been extremely valuable.